Hey, I'm here with a list of demands. Follow the show wherever you listen. Subscribe, share, like, and comment on the show on YouTube. Follow any and all of my social media as well. All of the links are in the description. And finally, if you're a real fan, which most of you aren't, head on over to buymeacoffee.com, use the link in my description, and buy me a goddamn coffee. It supports the show, which is me. So you're supporting me. Now that you've successfully ignored that, go ahead and enjoy today's episode. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for tuning into the show on this Thursday, episode 230. I'm always excited when we get to a number with a zero on the end of it. I don't know why, it's just satisfying. Thank you for tuning in. It is Thursday. It finally happened. And you guys can take it for granted. I did two things with the last episode. We have a new intro and a new outro, right? Something I've been telling y'all that I was going to do for a while. It took literally 2 minutes of my time, and I could have done it forever ago. But we got that. We introduced the audience funding platform known as Buy Me a Coffee, because as you all know, I do love me some cafe. Burned my mouth. Remember when I was trying to sell coffee to you guys? Imagine that. Imagine that. Life Boost Coffee. I wrote a whole fucking thing for that. That was funny. But anyway, that happened, and I missed our first date. I missed our first one, Labor Day. Labor Day was on Monday, and I was supposed to have an episode out for you guys, and I did. I had an episode ready to go. I just decided to put it out on Tuesday. I said, fuck it. Put it out on Tuesday. It's Labor Day. Let's celebrate like everybody else. The summer is over. The summer is over, guys. A summer that people were very grateful for this year. This year was the first summer in a couple years where people weren't in a state of suspended anxiety the whole time. There were moments, right? There were moments, sure. There were times when you thought maybe something bad could happen. But a great mix of brainless leaders and a news cycle willing to support those brainless leaders has really put us at ease. Even though there has been a lot of terrible, fucked up shit happening, especially in the summer with gas prices and, you know, the crisis in Ukraine happening and all these other things, the cost of living and inflation and all these things going up. People were able to ignore those things this year. If it's not a pandemic that's killing grandmothers, it seems like everything is it's back to business, right? It's back to business. As long as there aren't old people dying on ventilators, most people are okay. And as long as we have some entertainment in the news cycle, as long as we have some legitimate there was no entertainment like Trump, right? There was no entertainment, but they muffled him, right? They muffled him. They didn't let him do what he wanted, right? He still did it, but they didn't want him to. So the news cycle was very much against him, and everyone was very anxious about him. Nobody except for his followers, who were massive, a massive force to be reckoned with, and still are. They were the ones who were able to keep it interesting because the news wasn't helping. The news wasn't helping us here. But now the current cabinet that we have that's doing they're doing a job. All right, let's say that. They're doing a job, an interesting one. They have the media behind them, so it's actually a little bit more exciting. This is where we get our leader, Mr. Joe Biden, who can barely speak, can't talk about numbers, can't answer questions, can't do much, right? He's pretty much there to wave. He's there to mindlessly wave, just teetering on the ledge of a brain aneurysm while they pump him up with amphetamines and nootropics and all different kinds of things to keep this man standing and upright for another, how long has it been? I don't even know. 2024 is the next election. So we need at least 2 more years. We need at least 2 more years out of this guy. And that's what they're doing. They make and with the media behind these people, this is when we get the entertainment value that we really look for as Americans when we're watching politics. Because to really take it seriously, you have to be kind of a sick person, right? To really take all this conniving and scheming and these backdoor deals and to know that these people are literally fucking you at every corner. They're making more money than you could have ever fucking dreamed of. They're making deals that only support them and their rich, wealthy criminal friends. When you realize these things, that these people don't work for you, the only redeeming quality is that it's entertaining. The only redeeming quality is that the acting is good. Right? This brings me back to many episodes ago where I spoke about how we should just have actors play politicians because that's what it is already. But people don't want to realize that. And you saw that with that speech that they put together with Joe Biden. Beautiful theatrics, beautiful. Red lights behind him. He's saying all these things with passion and conviction. Like he's saying those things like that's how he is as a person. Oh, there's all the New London sounds outside. But he was saying it like he wasn't putting on an act. You know, I mean, politicians are actors the whole way, but at least maintain the act. Maintain the character. Mr. Biden, you are not a strong, ironclad, trustworthy leader that we all are looking to help pull us out of whatever problems we have as American citizens. We don't really, I'm sure there's people who look at him that way, but most of us, hold on, there's the garbage truck. Biden's driving it. Most of us look at you, or most of us look at Mr. Biden as a bumbling uncle who needs to be sat down in front of a window in a rocking chair and left alone because nobody wants to talk to him. He's a burden. He's gotten old. People need to go to his house and take care of him. He lives in squalor. If Biden wasn't a politician or a statesman, he would literally be a crazy uncle that lives in squalor. For those of you that haven't watched it yet, you need to check out The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray was a miniseries on Apple Plus or Apple TV. That it was about an old man played by Samuel L. Jackson who lived in absolute disarray. He was like 90 years old. He was once a professor. He was a genius at one point, but he's got dementia, and it's gotten worse and worse over time, and his nephew comes over and takes care of him. He's the only one that comes by. He's the only one that comes by and takes care of him. He's the guy from 8 Mile. I don't remember his name either. He's got a lazy eye. Kind of looks like Forrest Whitaker, but isn't. But anyway, they, that's what Biden would be. Biden would be a disheveled old man who lives alone, whose family abandoned him because he's too much of a burden. We got to come to his house all the time. He wants to talk about the days back in Scranton and Delaware or whatever the fuck, wherever he's from. That's what he wants to talk about. And nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear about it. Nobody cares. And he's going to talk about how he was, involved in the Senate and he was all these things and he was the vice president at one point. But if he never got to president, then he would be, that's where his story would stop, especially since he had massive brain surgery and the whole thing. He might be the first president to have massive brain surgery, other than John F. Kennedy, of course. But they, right now, people are kind of overlooking how scary some things are because We have a mindless leader, which is what we want, right? We want a person that will, just put us at ease. The president, I look at the president like a maitre d'. You go to a restaurant, there's a maitre d' there. He welcomes you. He tells you maybe there's a real good specials tonight. Like you say, ask your waitress about him. And it's an older man, right? Usually an older man walks you to your table, says, here's a nice wine menu, and we have a full service bar, and here, just have a seat. Just have a seat. And you don't even look at the prices on them. You know it's going to be expensive, but you don't look because you're here to have a good time. You're here to have a good time. And the president is supposed to serve as a maitre d'. He's supposed to come over and say, hey, are you having a good experience? This is nice, isn't it? Isn't it nice? We sat you right by the window. That filet is nice. That's a good filet. How'd you get it? Medium rare? Good man. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Here, have a little bit more wine. Oh, you're all set? Well, we'll help you out. We'll call the car around, the valet. You have a great one, and you tip them. You give them some tip, and that's taxes, right? And that's what a president should be doing. That's what a president should be doing. He should be putting us at ease in a way that we forget about how we're getting fucked. We're at the restaurant. We know we're spending too much money. We know that it costs this restaurant $2 to make this fucking grilled chicken and vegetable. We know that we're getting fucked, but we engage in it. We have a great time. And right now, the combination of the presidential cabinet mixed in with the cosign of the media, which is big, very, very big, cosign of the media, we've just kind of, we've been relaxing. We have. It's been a good summer, guys. You can't deny that it was a good summer, right? It was a good inflation. Yeah, whatever. We know. We know. Look at Biden fall off his bike, right? He's doing it in a different way. They're doing it a different way. It's not so much. Look at Biden. He just got rid of what? $10K in student debt or some shit? You're absolved of that? I mean, that's a good thing. That is a legitimate good thing, right? It's a good thing. It's not all of it. He hasn't gotten rid of all of it like he said he would. They haven't done all these. But that's not easy, right? I'm not saying that that's something you should do. That's not an easy thing to do. Not to mention, that's just a bunch of loans. If you had a bunch of loans out, if you were a bank and your money was based on getting return on your loans, I mean, you wouldn't want to absolve all of them, no matter what you said before. So, it was a good thing. Don't get me wrong. That's a good thing. It kept people at ease. We're not going to raise wages, though. We're not going to do that. We're not going to mitigate these other things. We're just going to Band-Aid. We're going to throw a Band-Aid, and we love a Band-Aid. We love a big Band-Aid, not only as Americans, but as people. We love a big Band-Aid. People with extreme comfort. Anybody in the world that's living with extreme comfort, we like a Band-Aid. Because things aren't dire straits. They aren't dire straits. We know we have thousands and thousands of dollars of debt hanging over our heads for a degree, for a paper, that some of us didn't even use. Some of us didn't even bother. I'm fortunate where mine was paid for. I have a lovely grandmother that paid for mine. I also went to a cheap school. I went to a school. I wasn't going to pay, or I wasn't going to be led in to pay $60,000 to learn English, right? And then find out at the end of it, I didn't even want to do the shit in the first place. So I would advise you to go on the cheap. Go on the cheap. That's how I live now in general, and that's the way you're supposed to do it. Go on the cheap, baby. But, they've done a great job at keeping us, and I think that's going to be the story of this presidential run by Biden. I think it's going to be the story because, Trump was so polarizing and people were so worried and the pandemic and and this current president isn't doing much, but what he is doing is keeping us at ease. He's keeping us at ease while we watch interest rates go up, and we watch prices of homes go up, and we watch costs of living go up, and inflation go up, and our wages stay the same. They stay the same. We look at work conditions staying the same. I talk about that because a lot of companies after Labor Day, for whatever reason, they took liberty to introduce this new concept on Labor Day. A lot of companies are kind of just reintroducing the office aspect. People, they're learning that there are a lot of people that do not work well at home. The productivity isn't the same. Big word here in America. Big word. Productivity. Production. That shit matters more than liberty. It matters more than freedom. It matters more than all the other pillars that America stands on. It matters more than equal rights for people. It matters more than health care or mental health care. It matters more than education for everybody. It matters more than anything. Production, guys. Countries whose production are the highest are the most powerful. That's what it is. Countries who have the highest level of production are the most powerful. Case and point, China. Everything we have comes from China. They have the most people in the world. It's like 13% of the world lives in China. Okay? And they also have the biggest surveillance system in the world, which is insane. That's how they're able to keep the streets clean. That's how there's very little murders, because they have cameras everywhere. The biggest surveillance system in the world, China. They track your footsteps, the whole thing. I read something about it the other day. But back to my original point, you got China, you got the U.S. These are the biggest countries in the world because their production is fast. It's fast and it's constant. It's constant and it's part of the culture. And if you're at home in your pajamas, where's the fire? Where's the rush? If you're at home in your pajamas talking on a headset, playing on your laptop, and when you're not doing work, you're playing video games, where's the urgency? Your life's too easy at that point, right? That's what these companies see. It was funny because during COVID, everyone was like, oh, I love working at home. And everyone still does. Everyone loves working at home. I love working from home. And there was all this talk of, well, maybe we're gonna see a new age of work where we won't need these big monstrous corporate buildings, and we can people can work from home and they can work from anywhere. They can take their laptop anywhere that has Wi-Fi. If they're on a beach that has Wi-Fi, they can work on the beach all day. And people were starting to be optimistic. They were saying, yeah, this sounds like a good idea. I hope this does happen. I hope this happens. I hope that we can all find jobs that allow us to work from home. I hope that all jobs go that way. I hope that these companies realize that they're spending money they don't need to spend on rent, on property taxes, on building these big corporate fucking offices. And people were very excited for that. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. This is the new normal, right? The new normal. Now I don't need to drive to work. I don't need to sit in traffic. I don't need to listen to that same bullshit radio show I listen to every day. I don't need to listen to that asshole that screams in his microphone in his apartment alone in New London, Connecticut. I don't need to do. Now I can do it if I want, but now I don't have to. I don't have to in my car. I don't have to sit at the water cooler and talk about nonsense with Jeff and Jennifer. Everyone in my office names start with J. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that shit anymore. Yes, this is great. Thank God for pandemics. Thank God for everything changing. This is awesome. This is going to be great. And then all these big corporations said, good one. Good one. How are our numbers going to stay up when you aren't in a constant fear of anxiety? You need to be confined to a space, to a place and time. You need to be confined to it. You need to be in the culture of an office. Or else you won't feel like you need this, right? You won't feel like you're at work. We need you to feel like you're working. We need you to feel like you're we need you to be presently aware of the fact that you are a cog in this machine, but do nothing about it. We need that. We need that feeling because that is true control. That is immense control over the mind, control over the body, control over the emotional state of a human being. If you force them to do something, that is actually hurting them, that is actually a detriment to them, but they're doing it because they feel like they need to, you've convinced them of that? Wow, you're a cult leader, you're a wizard, you're a president, you're a statesman, you're a leader in general. You are someone that could change the fabric of these people's lives as well as your own. You are someone that has immense power over these people. You do. People don't realize it, but that's what these corporations want. They don't want you to be producing at your own pace. They need you in a place that gives you a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency. That's what they need. They need you worried that you're going to get late to work. Don't stop for that coffee. You get the coffee, the shit coffee in the office. You have some of that. Go and get that. Don't stop. You got to go. You got to get to work. Don't take your break. You're a little slow today. The numbers are down. The numbers are down. Look at the numbers. They're down. Look how low the numbers are. This is all because we're not in an office. We need to be in an office, guys. What don't you understand? We need human contact. I don't know. Maybe that part's right. Maybe the human contact part is right. I've never worked in an office. I talk shit about offices. I have no interest in ever working in an office. I try to get jobs. I try to do all these things. And I'm one of the guys who want to do the remote thing. I would love to have a remote job, just like everyone else, right? That's the thing. They realize that everyone wants it. And they realize that they could give it to everybody, but they're not gonna. They're not going to. You ask any big-time fucking office manager or anybody, I'm sure they'll tell you that production goes down when they're not in the office. Work goes down when they're not, because you can fuck off. You're alone. You can fuck off. You can do whatever you want. And they don't want that, guys. They don't want that. They're paying you. They're paying you money. They're paying you a wage that isn't livable. They're giving you benefits that are coming out of your wages. They are, they're paying their you're sacrificing your time for a check that really doesn't reflect what you're doing for them, and I'm not a commie, right? I'm not a commie. I don't care. I'm for the people, sure. I am for the people. I don't believe in workplaces. I don't believe in work. I don't believe in jobs. I feel like it's all fucking stupid. Money's evil, yada, yada, yada. But that's no way to live. You got to live within the confines of what the fuck we've created here. I forgot my point. But either way, they are ushering in the new normal of people having to come to the office. They got to come to the office, and they chose Labor Day. They chose Labor Day to kind of usher that in. Everybody's got the day off, but when you come back, just know that this is the new normal. There's very little remote work. You got to be in the office, no masks, vaccinated. That's what I saw, and that's Wall Street. That's what Wall Street's saying. And not a lot of people work on Wall Street. The Wall Street, hold on. Here comes the fucking garbage truck again. The garbage truck again. I live on a street that the garbage man must learn how to drive on. Because this is the fourth fucking time this morning that a garbage man is driving by. Fucking miserable pieces of shit. Anyway, they're gone. I had to wait a little bit. But where the fuck was I? I was talking about how on Wall Street, this is where this new normal is starting to be debuted. I don't know if it's strictly on Wall Street. That's the article that I read, or the headline that I read. I didn't read the whole fucking thing. It was a video. It was whatever, right? I don't care about Wall Street. I don't care about those people. But what I do know is that if you're going to work on Wall Street, you already have some illusion in your mind of becoming a millionaire, or you have this delusion that money is God and you want to go to the Mecca of it, like I did at one point. You want to go to the Mecca of of money, where all the money's being made. You want to slave away for a boss that has a boss that has a boss that has a boss, and they all make disgusting amounts of money, but you are the little tiny peon that some of these guys started, some of them didn't, some of them were born into it, right? Some of them some of them had to do minimal work to get where they are. But I digress. You, on the other hand, you're a person that maybe came from modest means, and you thought your way out would be to get a job on Wall Street. So now you've gone ahead and you just got hired. It's 2019. You just got hired as a account executive on in a brokerage firm right there on Wall Street. And all you do, you're a investment banker. And all you do all day, 70, 80 hours a week, is just plug away at big corporate trades. You talk to the corporate, you just go back and forth with these big monumental amounts of money, and you try to game the system and make money on it. You arbitrage, right? That's what you do. You trade with the money of a massive corporation, and you do that, and they trust you. They trust you big time, and you're like, yeah, I'm working myself to the bone, but one day I'm gonna have an empire. One day I'm gonna be the boss. And and then the pandemic hits, and it's like, oh no, oh God. What am I going to do? And for the first few months, you didn't know what you were going to do. The market was in turmoil. Even your company, one of the biggest companies on Wall Street, the biggest firms on Wall Street, whatever. If you're a firm on Wall Street, you're one of the biggest financial institutions in the country, if not in the world. So you were just employed by one of these people, and now it's pandemic time, and they need to reset. So you might have a little bit of time off. And now you're thinking, hey, I've always wanted to play the French horn. I remember when I was a kid, I used to play the French horn, and I used to love it because now you got all this time to yourself. You got a little bit of extra time. You're not working 70, 80 hours a week, looking at numbers and trying to make deals and all this shit. You got a little bit of time. You got a little bit of time, and you're like, you know what? I made a little bit of change. I'm going to go ahead and buy me a French horn, and I'm going to start taking online lessons. And you really start to enjoy the French horn. And then it starts to... Now you're really, really enjoying it, but your firm is saying you can work from home. Now it's time to work from home. You get a laptop, you get a headset, you get your phone, and now you're back to 70, 80-hour weeks, but now you're at home, so you can take breaks in between. You can fuck off. You can play your French horn. You mute your microphone and you play your French horn. You watch your videos on your other computer, and you're living kind of okay, right? You're living not bad because you're able to do both. You're able to, while you make money and work and do the thing that you set out to do, you're also learning the French horn. You're learning how to do something else. Whereas otherwise, if you were working 70, 80 hours a week at an office, you would go to the office, work, come home, jerk off, go to bed. Because now, you're exhausted. You don't want to think about a fucking French horn. But now, because you're at home and you can work at the same time, you can either fuck off while you're working, or you can do something else. Do something that you enjoy. But what's going to happen? Some of that productivity is going to go down. But you don't see that. You're like, yeah, maybe, but who knows? I'm doing well. I'm in my pajamas. I can make a sandwich. I can get up. I can do whatever. I can read my French horn books. I can do anything I want while I'm at home working. Which they don't want, guys, So now, fast forward to 2022, all those feelings of maybe this is the new normal. Maybe now I can do these trades at home. Maybe now I can do my job at home. Maybe they trust us enough to do this. And the answer is no. The answer is absolutely not. So get rid of that French horn. get that suit back on, and get the fuck in this building. Sit at your desk. Are you stupid? Are you fucking dumb? You really thought that we were going to let you do whatever the fuck you want while you're employed with us? My goodness. You sick son of a bitch. The only companies that are still doing that are the companies that allowed it beforehand. And there's probably some other ones, but they'll smarten up too. They will smarten up too. They're going to say, well, it was the pandemic. We all had to make adjustments. But we got to get back to the office. We are fun. We had fun while it lasted, didn't we, folks? We had a good time while it lasted. We had a great time even. We were able to do anything. We were relaxing. We could spend time to think. We could talk with our kids, right? During summer vacation, we could see our children. On our breaks, we could go for a walk around the neighborhood. On our lunch break, we could go swimming at the beach or in our pool, or we could do anything. We could get a workout in the middle of the day, and now you're refreshed for your next half of the day. They don't want that, guys. They don't want that. They never did. They never did want that. Even when they did it, they were like, God, this is terrible, but we need to do something. If you think that that's going to be the default, I don't know. I mean, it probably isn't, right? It probably won't be. We'll probably never, not never, but for a while now, as long as humans are still doing these jobs that most humans don't want to do, as long as we're subject to doing things that we don't want to do but feel like we have to do, we're going to be doing it in person. Most of us. Not always, right? Like I said, there's plenty of remote opportunities. There's more now than there ever have been. But most of these companies, I'm thinking, will smarten up, and they're going to stop with this bullshit of working at home, or you're able to work on a train, or you're able, they don't want that. They don't want freedom of location. Freedom of location is one of the most detrimental things to a company, to a corporation, to a country, to any governing body in any circumstance. Freedom of location does not work. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work for them. It doesn't, if you're able to go wherever you want, whenever you want, how are they going to hold over your head the massive burden of life and living and making money? Even if you need to make money to be on the road and live wherever you live, it's another form of controlling people, just like buying a home is. Oh, no. Homes were made, mortgages were built for banks, right? Any loan that exists, it's not for you, okay? It's not for you. It can be if you're smart. If you're really smart and you put it to work the right way and you get the right type of loan and you do it at the right time, you got the right idea, it can be for you. But loans are built for banks. That's how banks make money. When you ever hear someone say, this bank went bankrupt. How does a bank go bankrupt? Well, people aren't taking out any loans. They're not taking out any loans. That's how banks make money. Any kind of loan. That includes personal, business, student, buying a home like a mortgage, borrowing against your home. Like, these are all ways that banks make money. And they had convinced, whoever they is, have convinced the American public that a great way to show your economic prosperity in this country is to buy a home. Buy yourself a little piece of land that will confine you to one space for as long as you own it. Not always true, right? Because you could sell it, but then, of course, you wouldn't own it, right? But it does confine you to a space. It limits your freedom of location. If you got a lot of money, you can buy multiple homes, and you could rent them out when you're not living there, right? That's a smart loan. And I'm not here to say that mortgages and homes, buying a home, isn't a smart investment. It's pretty goddamn good because you have years and years and years to pay it off, right? A 30-year mortgage, you could do that if you wanted to. and it'll take a long time for you to pay off. And hopefully by then it will have appreciated. Hopefully by then you will have some money. You put some work into the house. You'll have some something to fall back on, right? And in your retirement, you could sell your home, use that money, get yourself a nice little condo, and relax the rest of your days. You don't need to worry about anything. And I get it, right? Real estate is, of course, one of the gold mines that we have created. And you can't deny that. And I'm not here to deny that. What I am here to, I guess, share with you, or at very least offer you this sentiment, is that the major benefiting body when you buy a home are banks and corporations, right? That's with anything that you buy. That's a given, but especially when you buy a home, because you pretty much relinquish your hope of you pretty much relinquish your freedom of location, which is what got me on this topic. Anyway, think about it. When you buy a home, right? Most people that buy homes are in a relationship, in a long-term relationship. They have a family. They want to build a family, right? So you're not going to buy a home that's 30 miles away from where you work, 40, or maybe I should say, over an hour away from where you work, because the average commute in this country is an hour. But you want to be in a nice neighborhood, and you want to be in, which are coincidentally near nice schools, and you want to have, you want to be in a neighborhood that has a nice school, which is typically a nice neighborhood for your kids, and, you want to, or for your future kids. Jesus. Smoker's cough. You see that? That's how you know that bad days are coming. When I'm just sitting here breathing and talking and I just start to cough. But but the you don't want to live too far away from where you work. You want your commute to be smooth. Maybe you want to live not too far from a highway. Not too close, because you don't want the sound, but not too far. We're getting very, very specific where you decide to live, right? There's a lot of things that come into play when you decide to invest in a home. And for good reason. It's a big investment. It's a big jump. But that doesn't take away from the fact that you are confining yourself to one location for the most part. But you do that with your job too, right? It all links, guys. It all links. If you have a place that you have to be 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day, sometimes more than that, you don't want to be that far from that place. You're going to be there very often. That's a third of your day. You're going to be there very often. You don't want to have to commute like a motherfucker to get there. That's why big metropolitan cities are a thing, because that's where people work. They work in these places, and they want to be able to get there in and out. That's why New York is so fucking populated, and public transit is such a thing there, because you want to be able to get in and out. You're confined to this radius, and buying a home has become much harder these days. It has become much harder. I mean, it's just the prices. I saw a chart. Let's see if I can pull this chart up. Let's see. Oh, wow. U.S. elections are safe. Interesting. Let's see if I can find them. Maybe I should have had it up first. Nate Diaz, trending. Nate Diaz is going to beat Hamzat Chimaev this weekend, by the way. Don't buy the Wolf tickets, people. Don't buy the Wolf tickets. He's going to win. And if he doesn't win, I've already made a bet that I will become a registered sex offender. Millennials and Gen Zers do want to buy homes. They just can't afford it. So here are the barriers to home ownership. I'll tell you the three top ones. The number one at 42% is not enough income. Okay, not enough income. Number two is prices are too high at 39% so this is a survey. So the first one was 42%. Next one's 39%. Can't afford a down payment at 36%. Now, those three kind of, they're the ones who take over this. There's a bunch of other things. My credit isn't good, just not ready. Mortgage rates are too high. No desire to own a home, too much debt, lack of homes for sale. But the top three are not enough income, prices are too high, can't afford a down payment. Those are basically the same thing in three different sentences. Those are the same problems in three different sentences. We don't make enough money to save to buy a home. We don't make enough money in general, and the prices are just too high. I mean, it has become it's funny because buying a home is still a metric of economic prosperity. They decided this ages ago, and it still holds true. People still feel that in America, you need to buy yourself a home, and if you don't, then you're fucked. You're paying for somebody else's home. You're paying for somebody else's dream. That's what people like to say. You're funding somebody else's dream. Well, what the fuck else am I supposed to do? You know? No matter what you do, what you buy, you're funding someone else's dream. Or you're funding someone else's livelihood. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's people. I remember, when I was on you could do anything. When I was on that angle, when I was on that bullshit angle, I'd probably say some shit like that. You're working for somebody else and you're paying for their dream. You're working for their dream. You're making their dreams come true and you're not doing anything for yourself. Well, what the fuck are you doing when you go to CVS and you buy a bag of Doritos? You know, what the fuck are you doing when you're going to get a car wash, or when you do anything? When you're doing anything that when you're doing anything that costs money, that's what you're funding somebody else. Whether you're funding their dream or you're funding their livelihood or you're paying their bill. I mean, you're doing it anyway, right? You can't act like when you take out a mortgage, you're not paying the bills of that bank. You're not paying the car payment of the CEO of that bank, of the manager of that bank. You can't act like when you aren't taking out a $400,000 mortgage that, the CEO isn't going to roll up in a new Benz, okay? Or the real estate agent that sold you the house isn't going to make 20% on that. You can't act like that because it's not true. Anytime you buy something, you're funding someone else's livelihood. You're funding someone. People are funding us day and night. I work in a restaurant. If anybody orders from me and tips me, you're paying for. How come there are certain times where we're okay with it? When you go out to a restaurant and you tip the bartender, there's no objection there. Oh, she's working for a living. So's the motherfucker that sold you the mortgage. So's the motherfucker that sold you the car. So's the motherfucker that sold you the Reese's peanut butter cups at CVS. Everybody, you're funding all these people. Anytime you buy anything, you're funding somebody. So why is it that we've decided that where you live and how you pay for where you live and who you pay for where you live, how come we're going to act like it's any different than when you buy anything else? Right? I'm not going to live in an apartment. No. That's just paying rent to nobody. I get it. With a home, you're putting money back into the house. Sure, I get it. But that mortgage isn't going back into your house. The mortgage isn't going back in your house. I mean, you get a house that now you pay it off, right? It's paid off and it's yours. But it's just like anything else. Just like buying a picture frame or buying a camera or buying a fucking dildo. It's all the same, guys. It's all the same. Buying things across the board, you're supporting somebody else. And then it just comes down to personal liberties and personal freedoms. And to me, that holds precedent over everything else. Personal liberties and personal freedoms. Being able to maneuver your way through a system that is, for lack of a better term, I don't know if I want to say flawed. I guess it's flawed. Every system is flawed, right? There's no surefire way to do anything. It's very convenient, though. It's a very convenient system, which makes people. It puts people at ease. They don't want. They don't want to think to have to go around it. You know, to live within the system is much easier than to live on the outside of it or on the outskirts of it, or live in a way because not only is it tougher to navigate when you're trying to live against the system, but you look like a fool, right? Most people look at you as a kook. If you say, yeah, I don't know if right now I'm interested in buying a home, maybe someday, maybe later on in life, but right now I don't know. What? You're 25. You're 25. You need to start working for your retirement. You need to start looking ahead. You need to start this. You need to start getting a 401k and buying in. You need insurance. You need life insurance. What if you die? What if your family? I remember one time my grandmother told me, she's like, you need to get a job so that you can take care of your family. My family? You guys are my family. You guys can take care of yourselves. I got to take care of you. You know, not to sound selfish, but what I knew that she meant was, my family, my wife, and my kids, and these things that I don't have, these things that I'm not really attracted to. That's the thing, you know. And there's a million ways to live this life, but for the old timers, there's one specific way to live this life, and that's you go to work, you get yourself some benefits, you find yourself a spouse, you have a couple of kids, you settle down in a nice neighborhood, and you live your life that way, and you age gracefully, and you go on vacations with the kids, and you work your job, and you know it's not exactly what you wanted, or maybe it is what you wanted, but there's still something else that you wish don't you wish you just went ahead and did this instead? It's just kind of in the back of your head, but you push it down. You push it down with fantasy football leagues and cookouts, and you push it down, you shove it down, and you just say, I got a beautiful family, and that I work tirelessly for, but it's good because I love them, and I have a beautiful home that I get no help with because I'm the only one that's competent enough to fix things and take care of the yard and all these things that we're supposed to want to do, right? We're supposed to want to wake up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday, our only day off, to take care of the yard and then invite people over at night so that you can binge drink and sit around a fire. Which is fun, right? That second part is a lot of fun. But you should be able to do that whenever you want. Start a fire. A fire is like one of the most cerebral and primal joys that a human can have. It's just to sit around a fire, and now we have alcohol. So you can sit around a fire and talk shit, and you can eat. And that's one of the best fucking simple pleasures. And it is at the end of a list of shit that we have to do as people. It is at the very end of the list, right? It is Saturday night, and it's the end of, it's pretty much the end of the week. I mean, Sundays for people are miserable times because they know tomorrow it's back to the old grind. It's back to the same old bullshit that they had last week, and they're hoping they wake up on Monday, and they're waiting until Friday afternoon when they get off work. Now it's time to live. We got Friday night, we got Saturday all day, and we got Sunday all day. Let's live. Now it's time to live. But we still have work to do because we own a home, and the kids, they have hobbies, and we got to take the kids to t-ball practice, and then we got to go here, and then we got to, it's just, and I'm sure for a lot of people it's rewarding. I'm sure for a lot of people it's great. It is, but you can't discourage the people that don't want these things. You can't discourage the people that think outside of the box with a lot of these things, Because there are a ton of ways to live. There's so many different ways to live. There's ways to live that haven't even happened yet. There's ways to live that we don't even know. And that's what the fuck it is. I mean, if you're in a position to buy a home, if that's your trajectory, hey, More power to you. More power to you. I got no problem with it. But the main argument to buying a home is that you're investing in your future. You're investing in yourself. Could be true. Could, and it's that and the fact that you're not paying for something that you're not going to see in the end. Well, there's a little news for you guys. You're not going to see anything in the end. In the end, all the work you did, all that home that you got, you could pass it on, sure, but you're not going to see it. People say, oh, you pay all that money in rent. What do you get for it? You pay all that money on a car lease. What do you get for it? You're going to give it back. Okay. Is there anything that we take with us? I mean, this is a serious question. Is there anything that we bought, regardless of status, regardless of how much it cost, regardless of process and how good it made you look in life, is there anything at all that we buy that we can take with us? I'll let you guys answer that question. So in the end, it doesn't even matter. You see, I tried so hard and I got so far. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. That was a quote by me. I came up with that quote. Yeah. So just be wary about that, guys. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is to be, just look at it for what it is. Look at it for what it is. Just look and understand that buying a home, doing all these things are great. They're great if that's what you want to do. They're great if you want to live in a way that is conducive to, conducive to your work, conducive to a life that is, is looked at as normal, right? People look at certain ways of living and say, that's not normal. That's a crazy way to live. My goodness. What? That is insane. Just understand that process is no less insane than a person who moves from place to place, is nomadic, right? That's what humans are in general, right? The fact that we settle down in one spot is a newer... We lived a lot longer as nomadic people than we live now, right? A lot longer. A storm sweeps through, or the population of deer or buffalo or whatever the fuck we were eating has gone down. Predators have moved in. We need to move. We need to get the fuck out of here. We need to leave. We need to walk. We need to trek. We need to get the fuck out of here. But that is gone away. It's gone away with the invent of homes and jobs and these type of things. And again, I have no problem with people who pursue these things. I hope you get it. I hope you get whatever the fuck you're looking for. But to judge and to say that people who don't want these things are a certain type of person or whatever, or, they're wasting their money or their time, we're all doing that in some fucking way, right? We're all doing that because, again, I'll repeat it again, nothing we buy in this life can come with us, no matter how much time and effort we put into it, no matter how hard we worked for the down payment for it. It doesn't matter. It goes away just like we do. And that is a very freeing concept. To understand that is very freeing. I don't want it to sound negative to you guys. I know sometimes I can come on here and be a little bit of a negative Nancy. And this rant, today's episode was not meant to be negative. It was meant to just kind of give you guys a different look at the shit that we've been told. And now, like I said, it has become increasingly tough to buy a home. It has become increasingly tough to buy a home because a lot of people are trying to buy homes, but they can't. prices are too high. They don't have enough income coming in. You know, some people are fortunate enough. I got friends that they are on the fast track to buying a home. I got at least 3 friends that I know within the next 2 to 3 years, they'll probably be homeowners. They'll probably be homeowners because they're either in a soon-to-be marriage, or they just they make off well. They do well. They're doing all the right things in life, and they have similar mindsets about renting. They don't want to rent. They don't want to do. They have these similar mindsets. They have these similar trajectories to one day live the life that their parents did or tried to do. And I hope that for them, but I also hope for you vagabonds out there, for you nomads, for you people that are trying to live within a system that you don't really care for because you know it doesn't really care for you. You know that it was made by people that look like you, meaning humans. We know that it's all these rules in this wild that we've created. We've created our own sort of environment, this own sort of nature that we've created we've created our own forces of nature that we have to abide by, and if you play the game a certain way, you win. Doesn't mean there's only one way to play it, but if you play it a certain way, there's a couple different ways, there's a bunch of different ways to play this game, and for anyone that is trying to do it, I hope you do. I hope you do. One more thing before we wrap this motherfucker up, because I got to get to work. Not right now, but I would like to get a workout in before work so then I can do some comedy afterwards. As I sit here and record this to you guys, it is 4 years since we lost Mr. Mac Miller, who I am a big fan of, one of the most musically inclined and talented artists of our generation, of any generation. I mean, he was incredible. He was constantly reinventing himself and all these things. And, one of his lines in one of his songs where he says, it's so interesting when you see something like this. He said, to all the people that sell me drugs, don't mix it with that bullshit. I'm not trying to join the 27 Club, and he beat him. He beat him to it. He started his own club, the 26. He died at 26, so he was a year before everybody. So he was actually a little more proactive than everyone else. He was on the ball. He was on the ball, but 27 Club has probably got to be one of the coolest clubs that have ever existed, and it gives young people a reason to live wild and die soon. But here's the thing. If you're thinking about joining the 27 Club, you're going to have to become wildly famous and talented in a short period of time. So if you're 20 years old right now listening to this, and your dream is to join the likes of Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, Brian Jones, there's probably a couple other ones in there. If you're looking to join that club, maybe Keith Moon, if you're looking to join that club, then you need to start now. You need to become wildly like I have like a year and a half, maybe, so I don't think I'll be joining that club. You need to reach some level of fame to be a part of that illustrious group, because that is maybe the coolest club ever, right? In terms of people in it, right? The way they went out, it's questionable, right? I mean, Kurt Cobain shot his head off with a shotgun, maybe. Hendrix died drowning in wine. Janis Joplin, I don't know how she died, but it probably wasn't good. Amy Winehouse boiled in a bathtub while she was drunk. Like, all these, they're not great ways to go, but you are remembered in a very specific way. You're in the 27 Club, guys. I mean, all those people I just named are icons. They're all musical fucking icons. And they all lived in a way that they wanted, reached infinitely present peaks of of fame. Everybody knows who Jimi Hendrix is. Everybody knows who Jimi Hendrix. Everyone knows who Kurt Cobain is. You know, I mean, most people should know the other people that I named, but it's, you know, if you are a part of that club, then what's his name? Robert Johnson, another one I think was part of that club. If you are part of that club, you are in very specific and illustrious company. So, you know, I think it serves us well to include Mac Miller into that group, to group him in there, because he was very much a great musician, phenomenal personality. His aesthetic was exactly what I like, you know, living on the outskirts, playing the game, doing drugs, you know, existing in his own fucking way. And for people to look at the 27 Club and say it's so tragic, it's so, maybe it's tragic. It is, right? You can look at it that way. Or maybe some of those people, maybe they wouldn't have reached their level of fame if they had a long career. You know, maybe they wouldn't have. Maybe they would have sold out as time went on, and it would have gotten ugly. You know, you didn't want to see that. You know, I remember listening to a Doug Stanhope bit about if Jimi Hendrix lived and he was doing halftime shows at the Super Bowl with a Pepsi commercial. Like, you don't want to see that. You know, there's something romantic about going out in a blaze of glory, having a massive peak, and then just having a massive drop off. There's something magical about that, and it's just, you know, it's overlooked as a group of people that just died tragically, which could be true, but it's also very. It is romantic. It is romantic, that group of people. But that's how we're going to end the show off, by saying shout out to the 27 Club. Keep adding cool members to it, because while the rest of us are here on Earth fucking around trying to put the pieces together, these guys put the pieces together very quickly, showed it to the world, and then left. Just left. Look at this. We're done. We're going to go somewhere else. And that's what they did. And rest in peace, Mac Miller. 4 years now. One of the greatest artists of his generation and this generation in general. You know, I don't know if the phrase "gone too soon" really makes sense, because if you're gone, then it wasn't too soon. I mean, it was just the time, you know. It's never no such thing as too soon. You know, that's just what happened. But, you know, rest in peace, Mac Miller, I suppose, because, as you know, I was great friends with him. But that's it, I think. I think we're done for today. Thank you guys for playing along. This Saturday, I will be at the Broadway Comedy Club, slanging jokes. 2 late shows, the 10 o'clock and the 11 o'clock. I just got offered a spot tonight at the comic strip in New York. I won't be going because I have bullshit fucking work. But either way, that's it for shows, right? I think that's it. Yeah. All right, motherfuckers, I'm done. Peace. Me again. Follow the show, subscribe on the YouTube, buy me a coffee, use the links. Bye-bye.